Hi guys, welcome back to Irish Footy Vlogs. Welcome back to another Premier Division show. This time we're looking forward to the weekend's games on Friday, four on Friday and one on Sunday. Please subscribe if you haven't subscribed to the channel. And also if you'd like to check out our Patreon service, which has a lot of exclusive stuff on that, including Team of the Week every week. There's a jersey giveaway and that soon as well if you sign up by March 9th. The link for that will be in the description and in the comments. Off the Brandywell, Derry City take on Bohemians, and this is an interesting game. Of course, Derry City were beaten in their opening game. Bows won their opening game against Shamrock Rovers, of course, and Derry City will be keen to put in a big performance in front of their home fans at the Brandywell. Tiernan Lynch's first game at the Brandywell competitively in the league. It'll be very interesting to see what selection Derry go for in this game. If Lynch kind of keeps a very similar selection to try and keep a bit of consistency in that and give them a bit of time to gel, or if he changes things up or even changes things up formation-wise or system-wise, etc., etc. I've a feeling Sam Todd won't play in this one, to be honest with you, and Hayden Cannon probably come in and partner Mark Connolly. Up front, Boyce and Houben, as I said in the review show there, basically, they're a little bit samey for me, but it'll be interesting to see if he goes with two up top again. If he does, would he be tempted to go with someone like Patton, for example, or even Danny Mullen, potentially? Or will he change? Will he go with three in midfield, bring on Diallo maybe to play with Winchester and O'Reilly and give them a more solid base in the middle of park? So there's a lot of interesting scenarios. I don't think Ben Doherty will be back for this game as far as I know anyway. But there's a lot of interesting pieces for Derry City going into this game. Either way, they'll want a much better performance and to show the fans the potential they may have at the Brandywell. As for Bohemians, I've often seen Bows go and beat Shamrock Rovers and then get beaten the next week. So you never know, this could be the case for Bows. But obviously, they've a bit of a settled look about him. Mousset played 63 minutes actually at the weekend, so I believe he'll start again and probably do the same thing again, roughly, with Colin Whelan probably coming on. In terms of changes, providing there's no injuries, I don't think Bowles will make any changes to the team. Potentially, John Mountney comes out or gets switched to right back instead of Smith, but I don't think Smith did too bad the weekend, so it'd be harsh for him to get dropped. But potentially Mountney comes out and maybe Best comes in at left back. Mountney, of course, is predominantly a right footer, of course, and I think he struggled a little bit at left back. So that's the one change for Bowes I potentially see happen. And apart from that, it'll be the same system, be the same template. I've no doubt Tierney, Morahan, once Fish and Devoy will be in the centre midfield. They'll probably go with Rooney and Parsons again, with Mousset, as I mentioned, up front. I don't see any changes elsewhere, to be honest with you. Interestingly, as I said in the previous show when we reviewed the games, James Talbot looks like he's taken over from Turецka, which is very interesting, but he was very solid. So, he's going to go again, of course. For Derry City, a few calls for Brian Maher to be dropped, which is interesting. I don't think he will be, personally. He is still a very good goalkeeper. He does have his weaknesses, but he is a very good goalkeeper still, and I don't see Maher being dropped for this game. But in terms of a prediction, I'm going to go for a draw in this one. But, Derry will have to seriously, dramatically, actually improve their performance at Tolka Park. I don't think there's a doubt about that. But for me, I'm going to go for Derry City 1, Bohemians 1. Now at United Park, Drogheda United take on Sligo Rovers. Of course, Drogheda drew 0-0 at St Patrick's Athletic at the weekend, and Sligo Rovers were beaten 3-2 in a fantastic game of football against Waterford at Showgrounds, in which they probably should have got something out of, to be honest, in the end. I'll be at this game, by the way, vlogging this game as well. But Drogheda United seem to be struggling to score goals. Generally, they're missing DJ Taylor. Douglas James Taylor, I should say. France Pirot obviously left the club, so they're trying to adjust up front a little bit at the moment. They've got Thomas and Bawa who seem to be playing. Alua is the other option, but Kevin Doherty seems to have gone with them too for the President's Cup and the game last weekend. Be interested to see if he goes there again. I don't think Taylor will be back. I don't see many other changes in the Drogheda side. They were obviously very solid at the back. The only thing they might change, I think they'll probably play more attacking, particularly with their wing backs. I can see Connor Kane and Lamb getting forward more in this game. Obviously, they'll have to defend, of course, too, but I can see them attacking more in this game. Midfield would be just Shane Farrell, as usual, alongside Ryan Brennan and Markey, again, injuries permitting. So, as far as Drogheda are concerned, what's the potential change? Maybe Aluba comes in for Baba, potentially. That's what I think. For Sligo Rovers, I don't see any changes really, actually, at all. I think John Russell would have been disappointed, but with a few days to look at it, I think he'd be quite enthused about their second half performance against Waterford. And really, if they scored a penalty, they get a point at least potentially. They could probably go on and win the game, to be fair. They've got other options though. Eldin was good up front. They played with two up front. Keane Kavanagh played with him, missed a penalty. Be interested to see if he goes that way again, or if he decides to bring in Warrawoo, for example, or even Lamboto. But they do have options there. He'll probably go the same again, to be honest with you. And once again, I don't see Sligo making any changes really, unless there's injuries to the team. As I said, he won't be happy with the way they started, but he'd be delighted with the second half display last week, and they'll be hoping to take that into the Drogheda game. Drogheda, as I said, will be hoping to play better in terms of the attacking area of the pitch. You know, they've had a couple of games, obviously their first league game, but they had the President's Cup and the Jim Malone Cup where they lacked cutting edge, let's say. So they'll want to show a bit of that in this game, and I have a feeling they will actually. I think this could be a very entertaining game, actually, and I think there might be goals, which means there won't be any goals, by the way, in the game. But Sligo, Hikiki going forward is good as well, and, Will Fitzgerald, the usual players like that, but they look a bit porous at the back. Drogheda can be quite solid at the back, but because they're going to play a bit more attacking, I believe, in this game, they mightn't look as solid, in my opinion, in this game. So I think there's going to be goals in this game. It's a tough one to call. It could go either way, but I'm going to say Drogheda United 2, Sligo Rovers 2. Next up, we have Galway United and St Patrick's Athletic at Eamon DC Park. Galway United failed to beat St Patrick's Athletic last season, so they'll be hoping to put that right. It's the first home game of the season. It's going to be a massive home crowd there. They played in the first game of the season last season, the very first game, and St Patrick's nicked a 1-0 win, which was a very scrappy game. A lot of games can be like that this time of year, particularly with the quality of the pitches overall. The grounds are generally quite soft. There's been a lot of rain, hasn't there, recently, and stuff like that. So Galway, what interests me about Galway going into the game is that they're playing three at the back with two wing backs and two up front. But it's something they didn't do last season. The question is, was John Caulfield happy with the setup, or to keep going with the setup that he implemented for the Cork City game, or will they revert back to what seemed to work for them last year? Now, they would have had a look at Pats and seen that Drogheda played, obviously, a back three system with two wing backs and three midfielders, similarly to what Galway are doing and two up front at the moment. But stylistically, they're a little bit different to Drogheda United. But they might take elements of that into the Pats game and hope to frustrate Pats a little bit. And obviously, as usual, cause issue from set pieces, be that throw-ins, corner kicks, free kicks, etc., etc. Second balls, very good at winning second balls in and around the box, very dangerous. They've got players like Hickey, Borden, who can cause issues in that regard. Ed McCarthy missed the first game, so I'm not sure if they'll have that lethal weapon. But Bruder's quite good at throw-ins as well. And the likes of Bruder, Slevin, very good from set pieces, aren't they, as well? They can score goals. Interestingly, they signed Cian Byrne on loan from Bohemians as well for the season, which is interesting because that, to me, suggests he's a centre-back, in case you're a Galway fan, you're not sure exactly where he plays. That suggests to me that they're likely to keep going with this three-at-the-back system. It allows Hickey, though, to get into the box and allows him to be actually quite attacking, because Hickey can arrive into the box. But be interested to see if they make any changes. I know Burns just signed, but I can't see, providing they play the same system, I can't see Cunningham, Bruder and Slevin not playing, with Asue right wing back, obviously, etc., and probably Burns left wing back. But I don't really see any changes. Maybe Borden starts ahead of Dave Hurley, potentially. That might be a potential change there. Up front, I think they'll stick with Dyer and Walsh, because they won't kind of just scrap it essentially after one game. But it's going to be interesting from a Galway perspective, and they look to put Pats under pressure. Pats, from their point of view, it's not like it was a terrible performance at home to Drogheda. In general, they just couldn't break Drogheda down, but they're going to have to get used to that, particularly at Richmond, where teams, they're seen as one of the favourites from the league. So teams are going to be a little bit cautious against them, certainly early doors in the season at Richmond. And, you know, Pats will have to be calm and not get frustrated and have a bit of composure when they're in the final third. They lacked a bit of that now against Drogheda too. And I suppose the big question for Pats, can they kind of handle the favourites tag, really, because they have been bookies' favourites. So, and that's not easy. That's not easy. But, you know, there's still a lot of very good players. The question is, in terms of their team, Sean Horn, Simon Power missed the opening game. I'm not sure if they'll be available for this game. But aside from that, I don't think there'll be any changes. Even if Horace fit, Gravossi will probably keep his place. Can't see Mulroney or Albazzetti not playing wide. Keena, I'm sure, will go up top. Forrester is the one change that may happen. Forrester had an injury in pre-season for a couple of weeks and then was sick the other week. So he may come in for Barry Bagley, actually, and Lennon will be his partner in midfield, I'd imagine. And Pats will just, from their point of view, it's probably important to get a win as soon as they can early on in the season, just to settle them down a little bit. You know, it'd be disappointing from their point of view if they went to Galway and didn't win the game, basically. They'd be disappointed if they didn't get any wins from the first two games against Drogheda at home and Galway away. Considering they're one of the favourites for the title, you feel like you kind of have to be winning these type of games. Not every week, of course, but they'll have to start winning soon if that's the case. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting game. The pitch will probably suit Galway a little bit, to be honest, but Pats have to be able to, you know, grind out results. If you're going to win a league, you're going to have to be able to grind out results. So they're going to have to play football if they can, but if they can do that also, you know, that's the thing. And I think if they came away with any kind of win in DC Park, it's a fantastic win. Galway did get a point in the open day season against Cork, and I'll be hoping to get something at the very least out of this game. Prediction time. This is my first victory, I think. The other two, I went for draws. I think Pats might nick this one, but I think Galway are going to score. Galway United 1, St Patrick's Athletic 2. Let me know what you think. Speaking of sides that played in the opening day of the season last season, Waterford FC will take on Shelbourne at the RSC. And an interesting game, this one. Both teams in 3 points. Top of the table clash, I suppose, isn't it? But yeah, Shelbourne have done quite well, I have to say, overall in recent years against Waterford FC. Waterford played very well, I thought, in the first half against Sligo Rovers. I thought they lost control in the second half, and ultimately we were probably lucky to get the 3 points in the end. Now, it doesn't matter how you get the 3 points once you get them, but there'd be slight concerns there that, particularly if Sligo scored our penalty, that the game gets away from Waterford. So Keith Long will look at that, particularly defensively. Again, 3 at the back system for Waterford, and I do think they've got weaknesses in the back line. Of course, Andy Boyle has come in to try and give them a bit of experience. But I think Horton and Rakowski, you know, can have their problems at times too. Andy Boyle still has to revitalise his career a little bit. I don't think in the last couple of years at Dundalk he's been the player he was. So it'll be interesting to see if he can find that again. If it was a case of just the environment, let's say, at Dundalk lended to that too. But yeah, I mean, Waterford, you know, I can't see them making too many changes again, to be honest. Ron McDonald will play in the middle of the park, of course. Noonan as well, who's a player I really liked at Shamrock Rovers last year. He actually played really well in the first half of the season for Shamrock Rovers, to be fair, and he's a very good capture for the season for Waterford. Very dangerous set pieces as well. But up front as well, they'd be delighted that Tommy Lonergan scored in his debut. A striker always gives you a bit of confidence. And I always felt with Tommy Lonergan, actually, that he always played well in the 2. And it's interesting now, obviously, he's playing with Amond, or did in the first game anyway. But I think that'll continue. Takes the pressure off Amond as well a little bit, although I don't think he's a player that feels pressure, being honest with you, but that's not the point. Shelbourne, I think, were excellent last week, but they also played really, really well in the President's Cup, and they've brought that form from last season into the early stages, I believe, of this season. with added belief. They've more string to their bows going forward as well. To their bows, to their Bohemians, to their bow going forward as well. They've got Boyd and Adebeko up front, but they also have Chapman to come in and he can play up front or just off the striker too. They've a lot of options out wide. Harry Wood's been playing out wide. He's not a winger, but he comes in field and causes issue that way. If they do want to play wingers, they can play the likes of Tulloch, Ryan O'Kane, etc., etc. So they definitely have more strings to their bow. I think in midfield they've strengthened. McEnroy have been very impressed in the first two games. So now they've got him, Coyle, and Lunny. Last year was a case of him and Lunny almost. Coyle and Lunny, I should say. But very difficult for two midfielders to play every single week, I think. And, that can be a problem. But McEnroy's come in and they can rotate between them too. He gives them a bit of energy, something a little bit different. Of course, Coyle gives you that as well, but he's a bit more of a harrier type player, McEnroy. And, I'd imagine, I don't see any reason why he won't start again with Coyle. So Lunny will probably have to stay on the bench a little while longer. They obviously signed Norris from Liverpool, a left back. It'd be interesting to see if he goes straight into the team. I think he might, and Leverage might go centre back alongside Paddy Barrett, which means Sam Bone would be dropped to the bench. Aside from all that, I don't see any changes for Shelbourne. Caffrey played in the right last week. He scored. He had a good game. Again, not a winger, but I still think he starts the game. If Shelbourne continue this momentum, they're a real team unit. They've got real pace now on their side as well, I feel, particularly Mike Boyeko up front. I think if they continue their start to the season here, and I don't see why they won't, I think they'll go down to Waterford and win this game, to be honest with you. Waterford FC 0, Shelbourne 2. Let me know what you think in the comments. So we go on to Sunday's game. Shamrock Rovers will take on Cork City at Tallaght Stadium. I'll be at Tallaght Stadium for the European game against Molde on Thursday, and as such it makes it difficult to judge this game. I've noticed that I haven't gone for any home wins yet. We'll get on to that in a minute, but yeah, it's difficult to judge Shamrock Rovers. I thought they really struggled actually at the Viva, mentally, physically, to be honest with you. The Molde game on Thursday plays a lot into this as well, because this could go to extra time. Now the one advantage they have is that both games are at Tallaght Stadium. The game obviously on Thursday, the game obviously on Sunday. They're going to have to rotate their squad a little bit. It'd be interesting to see how they do that. So it's very difficult for now, particularly to name their team, or there will be changes basically from Molde and further changes then for Cork City. On the other hand, Cork City played really well in their draw against Galway and should have won, and I think they'll come into this game with confidence. They have the week to prepare. They look very sharp going forward. Potentially have issues at the back line that Shamrock Rovers could look to capitalise on. But I do see, no matter what happens in the Molde game, whether they win, lose, or say it goes to extra time, which it could well do, that it'd be tough for Rovers to get up physically for this game. It's a big ask early in the season to play 2 European games and 2 league games in the space of pretty much a week-ish, just over a week. No matter what squad they had a few injuries against, although I think they were precautionary, particularly the Adam Matthews one against Bows the weekend. Mandrew and O'Neill will have to wait and see. But Dylan Watts is suspended for the game, and Cleary's suspended for the game against Molde, so they'll definitely play against Cork City, that's for sure. Striker wise, at the moment they only really have Noonan and Green, to be honest. Gaffney, I believe, is back in training, but I'd imagine he's a bit away off from getting game time, or certainly starting, so they're going to have to manage that situation. Cork City, I think they've a lot of qualities going forward. You obviously have Shawnee Maguire and Keeshin who are going to score goals, particularly Maguire. They've Dyke Steele, they've the likes Alex Nolan can come in, so they do as well. So Cork have good options there, solid midfield. If Greg Bolger can bring that experience into the game, he's going to be massive. Shamrock Rovers fans know all about him, of course, as well. And young Shipson will probably play midfield alongside him. I don't really see too many changes to the Cork team. Again, injuries. Again, not allowing for injuries, I suppose. But no, I'm just thinking there as I'm talking, and I don't think of any home wins, which I believe this weekend, which is mental. So Yeah, I'm going for a third draw. I think this will be a draw, to be honest. I think Cork will get something out of the game on Sunday. Shamrock Rovers 1, Cork City 1. So that's about it, guys. Let me know what you think in the comments. Give us a few predictions. Let us know your thoughts overall. And don't forget to subscribe. See you later. Bye bye.